Now, here we can play the 2 because attitude would take priority ahead of count. So we're partner can tell from the auction, presumably, that we have a decent hand, most of the partnership assets. Therefore, we want to let partner know whether or not any of our points are in hearts, or whether it looks best to play hearts, which it doesn't. And declare is going to win this trick. Okay, so now we're east, and pretty clearly declarer is going to want to use those diamonds, right? Knock out the ace and take as many diamonds as possible. So when do we want to take the ace of diamonds? Well, we want to take the ace of diamonds at the point where declarer doesn't have any more diamonds, where declarer can't get back to dummy. Notice declarer's only possible entry card is the queen of spades, but we know that that's not an actual entry because we have the king behind the queen. So if we take the ace of diamonds too soon, when declarer still has a diamond left, then when declarer gets back in with that good hand, right, declarer is going to play another diamond to the board and take a bunch of diamond tricks. On the other hand, if we wait too long to take the ace of diamonds, we may give declarer one more diamond than declarer is entitled to. Now that would be the lesser of the two evils, right? Giving declarer one extra trick, whereas if we take the ace too soon, then we're giving declarer multiple extra diamond tricks. So clearly the most important card for West, the most important message for West to give us, and really the only thing we care about, is how many diamonds does declare have. And as is pointed out in the room, West is going to do that with a count signal and playing standard count cards. If you start with a high card, you show an even number of cards in the suit. If you start with a low card, you show an odd number. So we can see 8 diamonds before this trick is played. We have 3, dummy has 5, so there are 5 diamonds unaccounted for. West, by playing the lowest diamond, is showing an odd number, which means declare has an even number of diamonds. Now, if declare has 4 diamonds, it doesn't matter what we do. We can't hold up the ace enough, right? We're going to have to play the ace, and declare would still have a diamond left. So the only even number of diamonds that declare might have that would make a difference would be 2, right? If West has 3 diamonds and East has 2, we definitely don't want to take the ace now because declare will get back in and still have a diamond to take the other 4 diamond tricks. But we also don't want to duck twice. Ducking twice gives declare a diamond trick that he's not entitled to, right? Declare should only get 1 diamond trick. And so we play small on this trick. And by the way, even if you're not playing count signals, one of the there's a variety of clues available on defense that you always want to take note of. Now, signals are really, really helpful because your partner should be on your side. But other clues are the way that declare is playing hand and also the auction. The problem with relying on the auction primarily is that people often don't have their bids. And the problem with relying exclusively on what declare is doing is that declare will try to trick you. So the safest thing to rely on is your partner signal. Now the overtake kind of looks like, oh, maybe declare has a singleton, right? But that's where you don't want to forget the auction, where South voluntarily bid no trump, right? So that definitely should not be a singleton queen. So when declare continues diamonds, we can take the ace confidently. And looking at all the hands, you can see Declare has 3 heart tricks, but partner should be able to save the hearts. Declare has 2 clubs, that's 5. We gave up a diamond trick, that's 6. Declare can force a second spade trick with the queen and the jack to go along with the ace, that's 8. But Declare is going to be a trick short. If we duck the ace a second time, then the second diamond trick that we give Declare brings Declare up to 9. Declare can then take a finesse for the spade and is going to have 9 tricks. If partner had an even number of diamonds, we would assume, first of all, that even number of diamonds is not 4, because that would give Declare a singleton, which is inconsistent with the bidding. So we would assume that that partner had 2 diamonds, that would give Declare 3, and then we would take the ace the 3rd time. In a situation like this, a no trump situation, or even a trump situation where trump have been drawn, which kind of turns the hand into a no trump hand, we want to capture our ace, and I'm talking specifically about a situation where Declare doesn't have another entry to dummy. We want to take our ace at the moment Declare plays his last card in the suit. And so that's what partner's count signal helps us to do. Okay, let us move on. And if you are in the IAC and you can type in the room and you have any questions, feel free.
We have a question from Makiko. So if partner has 2 cards, which card do you play?
Yeah, so if partner has 2, then partner's going to play the highest card first. So in standard signals, it's the high card first, or the highest card you can afford, and that's a general principle of signaling. You want to signal with the loudest card you can afford. Now with the doubleton, there's not much choice there. So let's say that West did not have the 6 of diamonds, only the 8 and the 4. West would play the 8 first. So high followed by low shows an even number, low followed by high shows an odd number, if you're playing standard signals. Good question. Now, that's not the only signaling system you can use, but that's when sometimes if you sit down with an unfamiliar partner, if they say standard carding, that's what they mean. Okay. Let me get another. Okay, hopefully this time around we have the West hand displayed. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so South is going to open a diamond. We are going to overcall a heart. West is going to bid 3 diamonds, which is not preemptive, and 3 no trump. And West is going to lead the King of Hearts. We're going to talk more about leads in future weeks, but just as a side note here, against a suit contract with the king and the queen, the standard lead is the king. Against no trump, typically you want to have a 3rd card in the sequence or a broken sequence. So the presence of the 10 is actually important here for the lead of the king, barring barring some other reason from the auction or the bidding or the hand or whatever. If West had 5 hearts to the king, queen, nothing, then at a suit contract, West should lead 4th best, or at least that would be the standard lead. So with this hand, it would be correct to lead the king against a suit or against no trump. But if the 10 of hearts were the 2 of hearts, the standard lead would still be the king against a suit, but it would not be the king against no trump. West wants to have a third card, either the jack or the 10, for the king, in order for the king to be the standard no trump lead. Okay, let's see. Okay, I need just about 15 seconds, so I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, king wins the first trick. Now, the cards, the important cards that we can't see as West are the ace and the jack. And the way that declarer plays the hand is going to depend on, or the suit, I should say, is going to depend on which of those cards declarer has located. So what's the most important or the primary signal that a defender can give? Again, it's attitude. Does it look right to play this suit again, or does it not? From our perspective, if partner has the ace or the jack, it's going to be perfectly fine to play this suit again. But if declarer has one of those cards, then, or both of those cards, sorry, then it's going to give away a trick to continue the suit. If declarer has the ace jack and we continue the suit, we're giving up a trick to the jack. Would declarer duck with the ace and the jack, or would declarer just take the ace? Well, so here we're going to veer off slightly into declarer play. And is anybody who can type in the room, or I guess they can send a message on Zoom, familiar with what's called the bath coup in bridge? Bath like a shower, and coup like taking over a country. Yes. Okay. So here's the bath coup is when declarer has the ace, jack, and a small card. If the king and a king is led, if the king and queen are behind the ace jack, the defense is entitled to two tricks, right? We could lead up to the jack or even the 10, but we're going to lose to the king or queen. And if we do it again, it's going to happen again. But we can get a second trick if West continues the suit. And so ducking, now declarer might be playing the 4 because declarer doesn't even have the ace and the jack. But if declarer has the ace, jack, 4, the correct play is to play the 4 and hope that West continues. It's different if you're declarer, if the jack is in dummy. Now I see people sometimes duck even when the jack is in dummy. When the jack is in dummy, it's a mistake to duck the king. Because if West switches, you've given the West the king, and also West would remain with the queen behind the ace. If the jack were in dummy and North had, let's say, 3 hearts, jack 3rd, it would actually be right for declarer to win the ace and then keep the jack behind the queen. So you have a second trick automatically, and you should not duck. So if you're declarer with the ace jack, whether or not you take the first trick depends on whether the jack is in your hand or in dummy. In this case, it's possible that declarer has the ace and the jack. And so it's important that East's card is an attitude card. And what that card should show, barring something exceptional in one of the other suits, is whether or not East has one of those cards. Now, some of you have noted that the 7 is the lowest visible card. It's easy and kind of lazy to, but we've all heard it or said it, right? Oh, I couldn't read the 7, or the 7 looked high. High cards and low cards are all relative, right? If you have the 4-3-2, the 4 is high. If you have the 7-8-9, the 7 is low. So you always, when you're trying to determine whether a card is high or low, you have to take into account all the visible cards, which in this case are the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7 is partner's lowest card. And so therefore, partner should not have either the ace or the jack. And therefore, it looks like that's not a suit that we should continue. Now we have to figure out, again, if partner's card is discouraging, we still have to figure out which suit we want to switch to. One thing that I've mentioned last week, and we're going to get more into it today, if I get a little less verbose, a lot of defense comes down to countering declarer's plan. And the way that you can tell what declarer's plan is, or what sort of defense is going to be necessary, aside from the auction, is dummy. There's some hands that require an active defense. In other words, you have to set up and take your tricks right away if you want to get them. And there are other hands where you can take a more passive approach when declarer's hand and dummy's hand are not likely to be threatening, and you can kind of wait, right? So how do you decide how you're going to play the hand as declarer? A lot of it comes down to what's going on in dummy. What's going on in dummy is those diamonds look pretty scary. We have control of the diamond suit, but we better get something going right away. And what we would like partner to do is lead through declarer's ace jack and set up our hearts before that ace of diamonds gets knocked out. So the way to do that, we can't put partner in with a spade. Maybe we could set up partner's king of spades, but it might be too late, right? So let's say that partner has the king of spades. We lead a spade. Declarer does what? Probably goes up with the ace, knocks out the ace of diamonds, and declarer still has control of the heart suit. The presence of those threatening diamonds in dummy means we need to make something happen now. The only suit that we can put partner in to get that heart shift is going to be clubs. And we'll get more into leads in a future session, but sometimes when you switch to a new suit, especially at no trump, you want partner to shift, or you want partner to continue the new suit. Like if we had, let's say, ace jack 4th of clubs, maybe we would want to lead to partner's king and then get a lead back to our ace jack. But if we don't want partner to continue the new suit, then we should play a high club. High club means I don't want you to play this suit, but it looks best for me to play it. Sometimes in defense, it doesn't matter which partner leads a suit. Sometimes it matters a lot, as with the heart situation here. So we play a club. We hope that partner has the ace of clubs. And if partner plays the heart from his side, now we can set up the hearts while we still have control of the ace of diamonds.
Well done.
Again, if the jack of diamonds were in dummy, and I'm sorry, the jack of hearts, and let's say that dummy had one less club, but the jack of hearts was in dummy, declarer should just go ahead and win the ace of hearts, expecting that the jack of hearts remained behind the queen as a stopper. So declarer could safely win the first trick, knock out the ace of diamonds. Would declarer, okay, good question. So if declarer has the ace jack 8 4 of hearts, which heart should declare play? And maybe we can get a few answers from the table or from the Zoom call. In this case, since declare wanted to keep the ace jack, the only spot card available was the 4. But if declare had 2 hearts, the 8 and the 4, which one should declare play? Yeah, there's 2 ways to think about this. The shortcut is, okay, yeah, now sometimes you actually don't want to deceive the opponents per se, but yeah, you want to play the 8 of hearts in this case because you want West to continue hearts. So there's 2 ways to think about this. The comprehensive way to think about it is, if you play the 8 of hearts, West might think that East has the 4, in which case the 7 would be an encouraging card. And so then West might continue, hoping that East has something like Jack 7, 4. So you play the 8 to hide the 4, to convince, or to at least give West the possibility that the 7 is not East's lowest heart, and therefore the 7 is an encouraging card, and maybe West will continue. Now, the shortcut way to think about that is, if you want West to continue, you would play the 8, and it's like an encouraging card. You're giving the same signal you would give if you were West's partner. Playing the higher card actually encourages West. Yeah, if why not encourage with ace 8, 4? If East has the jack, East should encourage. And if let's say West East has a doubleton 7, 9, East should still play the 7, the lowest card, to discourage. That would give declare the 8, and declare would play the 8. Ace 8, 4 is out, no matter if declare plays the 8. Okay, so the hand here's the layout that I'm envisioning is East has the 9, 7, declare has the ace jack 8, 4. East plays the 7, the smallest heart, but declare plays the 8 to make it look like the 7 is not the smallest heart. And the impression that you're trying to give is that East might have jack 7, 4. So with the holding, and I'll put this in the room. So here's 2 holdings from which East would to discourage. From jack 7, 4, East might play the 7. Now East might drop the jack, possibly, but East might not. East might play the 7 to encourage, in case West is leading from a 4-card suit and declare has, ace 9, 8 or something. So the point is, if as South you want West to continue the suit, then you're going to play a card that makes East card look like it might not be the lowest card. If it's clear that East has played his lowest card, then West isn't going to continue. So you can think about that. You can say, okay, I'm going to hide the 4 to make it look like East has it. Or the shortcut is, just as you would encourage with a higher card if you were East, playing the higher card also encourages if you're declare. If you play the lowest card, that's discouraging because it makes East's card look lower. And again, notice the important difference, the brief digression into declare play, right? But if you haven't thought about this situation before where a king is led and as declare you have the ace and the jack, whether or not you duck the first trick depends on whether the jack's in your hand or whether the jack's in dummy. There are lead conventions as far as unblocking. So like tip in standard, the queen asks for an unblocking card. Like usually you'd want a fourth card though, like king, queen, 10, 9, the queen is conventional. Some play the ace asks for unblock, and some of that might be regional as well. So we'll talk more about specific conventions for leads like that. But the standard ACBL lead from this holding as West would be the king, where and again, East doesn't, well, in this case, actually, East does know that West has a 5-card suit because of the auction. So it would be a little safer to unblock the jack. If West hadn't overcalled, then it would be riskier to unblock because West might be leading from a 4-card suit, and unblocking the jack, if East had it, could set up a second trick in the south hand. Okay. But the big takeaway from this hand is that first of all, we have to look at all the available cards. So good job for those of you who noticed that the 7 was actually a low card. And second, this is definitely an attitude situation where East wants to warn West that East doesn't have any of those high cards. Okay. Let's see which. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we're set up for the West hand, right? Yes. Okay, so we're going to move from signaling to talking about something that I mentioned a little bit today and a little bit last week, which is planning the defense based on Declare's plan. And you may remember one of the first things I said last week is if Declare has losers, which is almost always the case, one of 3 things is usually going to happen to those losers. They're either going to get roughed in dummy, they're going to get pitched on a side suit in dummy, or eventually Declare is just going to lose them. If Declare can't rough or pitch losers, then ultimately they get lost, right? That's why they're called losers. There are some exceptions to that, right? There are end plays and squeezes and things like that. But for the most part, 90% of the time, that's what we do with losers as Declare. And anticipating how Declare is going to handle losers is probably the most important single guide to the defense that there is. So here's a rather simple auction. Pretty normal King of Hearts lead. Okay, so what do we make of partners to a hearts? Is that an attitude card or a count card? Well, it would be a count card if attitude is known or doesn't matter. Is this a situation where attitude could help us as West? Okay, so attitude is known. And why is attitude known? All right, I've gone mute, or nobody wants to venture a guess, and I'm guessing it's the latter. Yeah, North has the ace. East knows that we have the queen. But the critical card here is the Jack of Hearts. East does whether or not we have the Jack. And if we don't have the Jack, which we don't know whether East or Declare does. So let's say that as West, let's say that partner has the Jack of Hearts. We would probably want to continue and set up a second heart trick. But if Declarer has the Jack of Hearts, this is like a variation on the Bath coup. If we continue the queen, we're setting up the Jack. And if we play low, Declarer is going to win the Jack right away. So whether or not we want to play a second heart depends on who has the Jack. If partner has the Jack, we probably do want to play another heart and set up a second heart trick. But if Declarer has it, we don't. We're setting up Declarer's second heart trick. So the presence, since the presence of the Jack of Hearts affects whether or not we're likely to want to play hearts again, this is actually an attitude situation where partner's 2 of hearts should be telling us that partner doesn't have the Jack of Hearts, and it's dangerous for us to continue hearts. Now, Eddie Cantor, in an old but still excellent book called Defensive Bridge Play Complete, talks about specific dummy types, but the idea revolves around what I just mentioned, which is losers get roughed, they get pitched, or they get lost. And the key to figuring out what Declarer is going to do most of the time depends on the presence of dummy. So let's say that Declarer has losers in his hand in one of the side suits, not spades, in other words. Can Declarer rough those losers in dummy? Probably not. Declarer doesn't have as much as a doubleton in, or as little as a doubleton in anything, right? Every side suit, Declarer has at least 3 cards in. So Declarer will be unable to rough losers unless there's some long side suit that we don't know about, which seems unlikely. And we can't really do anything about anyway, because Declarer can always draw trump and then rough later. Does Declarer have a side suit in dummy that losers can be pitched on? This is a pretty useless dummy. If you're Declarer, it's going to give you the 2 aces, and maybe the long trump might be handy somewhere down the line. But this is what Eddie Cantor in that book I mentioned calls a type 1 dummy. Doesn't have roughing value, and it doesn't have a side suit. What that means is if Declarer has losers in hearts, let's say Declarer has the Jack, but we have it covered by the Queen 10, or in the minor suits, Declarer, unless somebody gets end played, those losers are going to come to us eventually. When dummy cannot pitch or rough, then the indicated defense is to play as safely as possible. We don't want to give anything away because we're just going to get whatever we have coming, we're going to get later. Declarer can't do anything about it. What's the safest suit that West can play, looking at our hand and dummy? We don't have much in the way of clues from the auction, right? Declarer has 5 spades, that's all we know. Okay, got a couple votes for trump. Vote for hearts. Trump. Yeah, so again, hearts is risky because if Declarer has the Jack, let's say the Jack and another heart, a heart play from us will give away a heart trick. In general, unsupported honors are dangerous suits to lead or to lead from. Doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes you have to take risks, but this is not one of those times. The partners should not play the jack of hearts here with the jack, because the lead against a suit contract with the king, the lead does not promise the 10. But partner shouldn't play the 2 either. So if partner has the jack 8-2 of hearts, then partner should play the 8, should play a high spot card to show the jack of hearts, but not play it. If you play upside down, then everything's kind of flipped on its head. Okay, so typically in trump signals, there's something called a trump echo, where the count signals are reversed in the trump suit. That's something that we'll kind of get into a little bit later for more specialized situations, but usually a high and then a low trump means that you have another trump as well. Now, in this case, because of the auction, partners should know that we don't have 3 spades, because if you're playing 5-card majors, the number of spades probably won't be a mystery for long. So it doesn't matter too much which spade we play, but the key is that, yeah, we want to play a spade here. And now in this case, we're not playing spades to cut down on roughing power. We're just playing spades because it's not likely to give away a trick. If partner has the king behind the ace, that's great. If partner has, let's say partner had the queen empty of spades, it looks like we're finessing partner. Well, in reality, if partner had the queen and a small spade, right, then the queen would be in front of declares king jack, and we'd be so that queen of spades will be lost anyway. At trick 2 here, if we play a club or a diamond, we're actually going to be giving away a trick. Declarer is only entitled to to no diamond tricks, right? If you're declarer after the spade switch, if you have to play these minor suits on your own, if you lead up to the king, it loses to the ace. If you lead up to the jack, it loses to the queen. If you lead a club to the jack, it loses to the queen, and partner still has the 10 surrounded by the king 9. If either defender breaks a minor suit, it's going to give away a trick. And if West continues hearts, it's going to give away a trick. So the safe suit here is trump at trick 2. Now, again, it's not always right to play the safest suit, but in this situation, the appearance of dummy tells us that we should be as safe as possible, because dummy isn't providing declarer with either roughing power or with a side suit. And that's what Cantor calls a type 1 dummy. It has maybe some high cards, but it doesn't have roughing power and it doesn't have pitching power. Therefore, don't take chances. And if West sits back, they have all the side suits well covered. Now, sometimes there will be a side suit that you could lead safely, depending on how the other cards are laid out, but you can't know that it's safe to lead those suits, right? So this is obviously a constructed deal where switching to a different suit is going to give away a trick. It might be that switching to a club is safe and switching to a diamond gives away a trick, but since we don't have any way to know that, to know what the safe suit is, the safe side suit, we should just play trump, which almost has to be safe. Now, we'll compare that to, and I think, okay, so let's look at, yeah, let's switch over to the east hand. Okay, so here's a different auction. Oops, no, North does not. Can I undo this auction? No. All right. Take 2. This auction should make a little more sense when all is said and done. Okay, so we lead 3 of hearts is led to the ace. Declare plays the 6. How's this dummy different from the last one? Well, there's one thing you should definitely take note of if you're east and this dummy comes down. It's definitely useful. And what's the way in which it's most likely to be useful? The clubs. Yeah. And this is a really, really good example for the idea of anticipating Declare's plan to formulate your ideas for the defense. You can't even see Declare's hand, but you probably have a good idea of what Declare is going to try to do. Draw trump, run the clubs. So this is what is actually in the Cantor book I mentioned called a type 3 dummy, where the primary asset of dummy is a long side suit. Now, by the way, as east, so the dummy is already scary, but what's scary for us as east about our own hand? It's almost a worst case scenario. Yeah, we don't have the queen of clubs and we have a lot of clubs. If partner had the queen of clubs, even if it was finessable, if partner had like 4 clubs, then maybe, you know, the queen wouldn't drop, and Declare doesn't have much in the way of entries, right? But not only do we have bad clubs, but we have 4 of them. So even if partner has the queen of clubs, it's probably going to end up dropping. And so the appearance of dummy and our own hand in combination tell us that those clubs are going to be usable. So how does that affect the defense? What do we do when Declare has a dummy like this? Well, it's pretty much the opposite of the last hand, right? The last hand we waited. Here, if we wait, we're going to watch any tricks that we might have disappear on dummy's clubs. So the basic idea of defense, yeah, as is just noted in the room, is active defense. We have to set up or take whatever we can before they go away. The only way that the clubs don't roll right now is if partner has maybe a trump trick to stop Declare from, you know, from doing that. But we have to take stuff, and the best play here is going to be the jack of diamonds. There's a couple of points here, like, okay, why not play a second heart and take the heart? Part of this may depend on whether you're playing a team game or whether you're playing a pair game. I don't think the correct defense shouldn't matter, but the degree to which it matters is varies a little bit. So if you're playing a team game, it's going to be absolutely imperative to switch to a jack of diamonds rather than continue hearts, because partner doesn't have the ace king of diamonds, because that would have been a very attractive lead instead of a low heart. And if partner has you know, some honor combination, like the king behind the ace or the ace queen behind the king, it's important that the diamond lead comes from our side. In hearts, there's only one other trick available. Partners presumed or hoped for king of hearts, and it doesn't really matter who plays a heart, but it is going to matter who plays a diamond. So we're either going to hopefully find partner with the ace queen of diamonds, or we're going to set up a diamond trick and hope that partner has maybe a trump trick and the king of hearts. But we have to take whatever we can in the red suits before those tricks go away on the clubs. And of course, when the hands are all set up, everything, when you do the right thing, it works. And when you do the wrong thing, it doesn't. A heart, now, if you're playing a pair game, if West continues hearts, you're going to hold a declare to 4, because declare is going to be able to get rid of the diamonds, or West is going to cash the ace of diamonds at trick 3, and that's going to be it for the defense, right? Declare has 11 tricks ready to roll, 6 spades, 5 diamonds. So we have to get what we can while it's still available. Okay, and I'm gonna show you just a slightly different hand though. Mm. Okay, similar auction, identical dummy, I believe, or for all intents and purposes. So what's different about this hand? Yeah, not only the queen, but also the 10. Yeah, in this situation, we have the clubs locked up. And again, notice it's important that declare doesn't have side entries. So even if, let's say that the clubs are split 2-2 in the unseen hands, even if declare played like ace, king of clubs and ruffed a club, we would still have the clubs controlled. Not only do we have the queen, but we also have the 10, and we also have 4 of them. So club finesses won't work. The suit can't be roughed out. So even though this is the same threatening dummy, in this situation, we know that we actually don't have to be afraid of the club suit. So what does that mean? And sometimes declare doesn't know what assets declare has, right? In other words, if you're declare here, what are your 2 possible ways to get rid of losers if you're declare? Well, if you have heart losers, you might rough them in dummy or try to, or you might try to draw trump and set up the clubs. And you might not know, are the clubs going to set up? Am I going to be able to rough a heart? So that's, when you go into the tank as declare, sometimes that's what you're thinking about, right? Do I want to rough my losers, or do I want to pitch one? Since East knows that the club suit is not going to provide a ton of pitches, unlike the last hand, dummy's main asset becomes, as some people are suggesting and have figured out, right? What's dummy's main asset if the clubs aren't useful? It's the heart shortness, right? And so this becomes like the dummy that we haven't looked at yet, which is the type 2 dummy. So type 1 dummy, no roughing value, no side suit. Type 3 dummy has a side suit. Type 2 dummy has the roughing value. And rather obviously, the main line of defense, when dummy's main asset is to provide roughs, is to switch to a trump, right? And by the way, the defense can still go wrong here. So heart lead to the ace, spade back to the king. how and why might the defense screw this up at that point? Because if you look at Declare, Declare has no losers in the minors, one loser in spades. So Declare, to make this hand, needs to avoid losing 3 hearts. Now, if East makes the correct shift to the spade and West wins the king of spades, how might this still go wrong? Yeah, West might cash the king of hearts or play a diamond. Now, why would West do that? West would do that because West is like, West doesn't know. Yeah, West has to continue spades. So I guess here's what I'm asking. If West continues spades, South is going to lose 3 hearts and go down. So why might West not continue spades? Is the defense of this hand easier for East or is it easier for West? The defense of this hand is easier for East because East is the one who knows that the clubs aren't running. From West's point of view, before trick 1 or before trick 2, right, West sees dummy come down, and West doesn't know that Declare doesn't have something like doubleton queen of clubs, and the clubs are ready to run. East knows the clubs aren't running, but West doesn't. And so what some Wests will do is they'll cash the king of hearts because they're afraid of it going away on the clubs. And superficially, that sounds like good reasoning because the clubs look dangerous to West. Why is that wrong? It's wrong because East saw those clubs too, but switched to a trump. So as West, you have to trust your partner. That trump switch at trick 2 should guarantee that East and West don't have to be worried about the clubs. If East doesn't have the clubs locked up, then East cannot afford to play a trump at trick 2. That's just playing right into Declare's hand. This is, again, this is like, from West's point of view, this is like the same hand as the last one we saw, right? So if East is afraid of the clubs, East is going to switch to probably diamonds, but certainly East is going to play a red suit. When East doesn't play a red suit, that tells West, we don't have to worry about the clubs. And since East isn't worried about the clubs, West doesn't have to worry about them either, and West can play a second round of spades. If you're West and you play a spade and Declare has the queen of clubs or something and runs the clubs, then East made a mistake. East should not have switched to a trump. And East needs to be here with us on Friday mornings. So we can draw inferences from what Declare does. We can also draw inferences from what partner does. East is always going to be the one to know whether or not to be afraid of the clubs. The trump is the passive return. The red suit is the active return, meaning I'm afraid of the clubs, right? If East isn't afraid of the clubs, West doesn't have to be afraid of the clubs. So when dummy's primary, would you normally lead away from the king of hearts? Yeah, so opening lead question, and that's something we'll get into. Opening leads a little bit down the road, but yeah, I would definitely lead a heart here. Partner has bid, dummy has bid clubs, so a club lead is going to be out. That's Declare's side suit, right? Probably the clubs don't have to be this good when the auction starts, 1 spade, 2 clubs, but they're, dummy has bid clubs, there's a decent chance even before the opening lead is made that we can kind of anticipate that Declare's plan is going to be revolving around the black suits, drawing trump and leading clubs. Now, a heart lead can give away a trick, but if it does, very often it's a trick that would have gone away anyway on the clubs. And most of the time, unless you have a good sequence, opening leads are going to be bad unless partner has some help in the suit that you led. So here, partner needs very little. The queen of hearts and nothing else would set up 2 heart tricks, assuming that, you know, that they couldn't be roughed. So I'd lead a heart, hope to find partner with something. You could lead a diamond, but that's going to require even more help from partner. Okay, thanks for everybody for stopping by and joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Oakes. That was a pleasure. So we'll see you the same time next week.
I will be here.
That's super.
Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll
Great.
hang out a little bit in case anybody has any other questions they want to throw in the room. That's
Yes, we're recording it, and the recording will be on the IAC website, and also Charlene is arranging to put it on the IAC YouTube site.
all right on.
So
I didn't even know there was a
have our
YouTube site.
recordings.
Wow, thank you all. People are making some really good points, asking some good questions. The heart lead is an aggressive lead, but it's also kind of an auction that calls for an aggressive lead. And again, opening leads are going to be a little more down the road. But that idea of active or passive defense very often starts even in the opening lead, even before demi comes down. If you're playing 2/1, then you could not bid two clubs with north. You'd have to bid a forcing no trump. So this auction would be a standard American auction. If you're playing 2/1, your first bid is a no trump. If you're playing standard American, the 2-club bid is fine. It only promises 10 points. And with the ace jack 10-9-3, I would lead if I was going to lead that suit, I'd lead the jack, the interior sequence. On a good day, partner will have the king and Declare will have the queen, and you can just take the first 5 tricks. Yeah. You're all very welcome. Thanks for hanging out for an hour.
Alrighty. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for your assistance, and have a great weekend.
My pleasure. Bye-bye, everybody.